Well, France's warning of a potential minimum 6-week shutdown comes as its neighbour, the UK, has just gone into shutdown for the first time. The healthcare systems, of course, in both countries are under strain already. Well, let's talk to Dr. Tempest. She's analyst at the healthcare consultancy Candesic and former National Health Service doctor herself. Thanks very much for being with us on the programme. Now, of course, the UK prides itself on its National Health Service, amid, though, some strong criticism from opposition politicians there that the current Conservative government has been underfunding it. I mean, do you think that the NHS, with your knowledge there, can cope with this situation?
Well, I'm not sure that anyone in the world is ready to cope with the situation. I think every healthcare hero and care worker in the world is preparing for the tsunami that is coming. But the difficulty is that demand for our healthcare services may well everywhere outstrip supply. So as a result of that, what we're trying to do, and what, as you said before, a third of the entire globe is under lockdown, to try and get ahead of this virus and to try and prevent spread. Because almost no matter how many beds you had in any country, it would never be enough.
There was a period, wasn't there, a couple of weeks ago, particularly, when there was a lot of talk about this herd mentality in the UK and people actually having to get it so that you get to the stage where there's enough people who are immune. I mean, do you think that that was the right policy at the right time? It does appear that the government's gone back and changed its mind on that.
You're right in the fact that I think there's a confusion. It's look, this is a new virus. Nobody knows how to handle it. The one thing that we do know is that it spreads like wildfire, and that the only way that we're working out how to deal with it is to try and prevent contact with people, which is the reason that everyone's having to stay at home. The question around herd immunity is a very good one, because how does this virus, how does it roll through? What does the future hold, whether or not medically or economically? And the question we need to get to is, once people have been infected, then of course you will hopefully get antibodies. Now that even in itself is a hope, because it's a new virus. We can't be sure how long these antibodies will protect us. So the idea that there is herd immunity or no herd immunity at the moment is a slight unknown. The aim would be to prevent the virus from spreading.
And I know that you're also concerned about the split, if you like, in the UK between the National Health Service. There's also private medical care for people who can afford it, I suppose. I mean, you're concerned, aren't you, about a real battle over staff and resources between the two sectors?
So I think you're right, there's a battle for staff, so that's a very, very key point. The UK government here has actually acquired, so what it's done is that it has all NHS capacity. It's also managing to hopefully get together a new hospital called the Nightingale Hospital in London, which will provide 4,000 beds. And it's also acquired 8,000 beds from the independent private sector, so that NHS cases will be able to go there as well. So effectively, this is a healthcare coordination. It's a call to arms. It doesn't matter if you're private pay or NHS pay. We will all end up in the same hospitals having to seek emergency services. I think perhaps what's critical and what's key is to ensure that care workers around the world are protected. And I think that is something where we are struggling with, potentially looking at this tsunami of cases coming in, and yet the supply chain of personal protective equipment for frontline workers is still somewhat lagging. So in the UK, we have brought in the army to help deal with this. And so this is helping get this personalized protective equipment to the front line. But equally, when you change supplier, as we know, when you change hair shampoo or something, it doesn't always come along exactly the same. So it means that we're having to quickly retrain some of the staff in using new equipment.
Dr. Tempest joining us there from London, from Candesic. Thanks very much for being with us on the programme today.